Morning, everyone. Almost good afternoon. It's a privilege to be here to start with. Thank you for the organizers to have given me an opportunity, and thank you, Claire, to accommodate all the drama that went through today to get here, and the people involved know what it was all about, and it makes a big difference to my life. And I think that also reflects, I'll come to that in a bit at the end, how I connect that to this talk. So yes, I'm Geetha Srinivasan. I'm trying to put a little bit of alphabets behind my name. It's simply because I want to see that actually my recognition to be in a common domain along with everyone, to be recognized as a chartered chemist, as a chartered scientist, as a fellow of Royal Society of Chemistry. Although it's a pride to say that I have awarded with a woman in science and woman in whatever, in particular women-based awards. Yeah, that's brilliant. I have no problems. That gave me the visibility, but I feel more acknowledged when I'm being actually recognized in the, the domain where everyone competes together. So I have put that for the reason. So I come currently from a company called PETRONAS, and I'm not going to sell PETRONAS here, but I would like you to know that it is an oil and gas industry from Malaysia. Whoever are familiar with the Formula One race probably would connect that to this company. Now, my story here is a very simple storyline. There is no education. I like the way Chris mentioned that many of us are not actually educatedly driving this whole, EDI, and we are actually living in it, yeah. And that's just actually a very simple story. It connects a little bit of different things what I have done throughout. I come from Karaikudi, which is a small town in the south of India. And I was a fortunate person to get married, arranged marriage in my community, and still prevails. 60% of arranged marriages still are successful. So got married to a fortunate family, as I call it, and my mother-in-law, who was actually encouraging me to go and do PhD. So I conducted my PhD research. I worked for a couple of projects because I had to earn 3 papers to go and compete to get the fellowship from the Council of Science and Industrial Research. India is a diverse country, thousands of castes. You have 5 broad categories: forward caste, backward caste, most backward caste, and scheduled tribe. And these are legally bound. The 1,000 castes come under these sectors. Now, when British ruled, there was no discrimination, but somehow all the forward castes were employed at the top. So after the British left, we actually, we said that we got independence, but I think we present ourselves into a positive discrimination, and the whole thing was reversed. It's still not fair because human brain is a human brain. I belong to the forward caste. What I'm trying to tell you is to compete with that billion population, to get into a fellowship which is common to everyone, but not reserved to particular caste. I know it's complex to even understand, right? So that took a lot of projects for me to do side business because we are talking for energy. Started my research with the lithium battery materials, which is the Central Electrochemistry Research Institute, one of the core business area at that time. Now lithium battery in the UK is a boom. But 2 decades ago, it was just done, as a natural thing in that. So it's again coming back as a karma cycle for me. I am now working on solid state batteries. I'll let you know in a minute. So working on battery materials, my conducting polymer research, which led to me, I don't know how many of you are chemists in the room, but I won't take into details. But these are like different parts of chemistry. Yeah? One is the battery research, one is conducting polymers. We have to, find ways to connect the storyline. Now, 2006, I didn't even have a passport. I finished my PhD Viva. I was a fortunate chemist to go and attend a telephonic interview, sweating, sitting at maybe 40 degrees. It was 28th of April, 2006. I can even tell you the date because it's a very important event on my life. Telephonic interview with Kenneth Richard Seddon, who is no more at the moment, but he used to be the father of ionic liquids. I was just ambitious, sending my applications to the Nobel laureates, the best of the best in the field. Somehow, as I mentioned, it's a fortunate chemist. The language we spoke was chemistry, was hired. I applied for my passport after I got my job and the work permit from the UKBA. Then I flew and took the first flight to Northern Ireland. Now, Northern Ireland, needless to say, probably to most of the community, that's a very interesting place to be. And we are marching. We had the Agreement 25 celebration, which is still going on at the Queen's University at Belfast as we speak. So that has its own diversity. And that's where I started my postdoctoral research. But as you can see, the timeline has been huge. I spent like 12 years. It was a very unconventional route that I had to take forward because I worked for industrial projects. At the same time, I wanted to aspire. I aspired to become an academic. Okay, did I become? Not yet. 12 years. The publications for industrial projects, you're not allowed because it goes into commercialization, IP, and so on. But for academic requirement, you need to have publication. So I started to do two different strands of research. One is the day job, one is the night job. Night physically, not in the night in the labs, but you know what I mean. So different types of work, mercury removal, which was done for PETRONAS, that comes to the commercialization scale whatsoever. I'm not going to touch into details, but I just would like you to feel along with me the versatility of, you know, thinking, thought process to be switched on 24/7, to run a family, 5 years of continuous work. I'm speaking probably the feelings of several people here. You come from immigrated, you know, you cannot have 1 day of gap. You should have a 5 years continuation to get your PR. So basically, you know, you just work your as much as possible. So these are all different strands of research. Electrolytes development. Then coming to a flexible storage devices, can we make it, you know, not coin cell, but something which is more flexible, which went really far. So had some social impact, some industrial impact, whatever. Now, Malaysia, the company that I'm currently working, PETRONAS, it's a national oil and gas company who sponsored my projects at that time when I was working from Queens. And then it led to a natural journey. Now, before that, at least 5 times I have been on a waiting list, second on the list for academic positions. Should I self-doubt that I didn't have the academic CV? I did teaching, I had a teaching fellowship, I completed my, you know, what do you call the higher education qualification, PGCHET course. I became the fellow of academic, whatever. All opportunities were given. I was 5 times on the waiting list, but the answer given to me is, unless you move university, the knowledge transfer is not happening. I have echoed down this to even the parliament level, I must say, because it's a very passionate topic and it doesn't apply only to women, to everyone. How come a knowledge can transfer only when you are moving university? I have done all versatile research sitting in the same spot. What's wrong with that? And that is a myth. So these kind of things have to be, you know, spoken, and I have no hesitation to share my journey. So naturally led, and also again fortunate, as I keep calling, I stepped into Malaysia to work physically within the company. I was interviewed, 4 stages of interview, and it's a very big company of Fortune listed, 50,000 employees. There is a big skill group for chemistry. So I was appointed as one of the, you know, starting level of at a staff researcher level in there. 4 years. Now, I migrated with my family once. My husband gave up his job in India. He joined his my career pathway in Northern Ireland. He was fortunate to get another permanent job. He works with so-and-so company. I'm not here to advertise companies. So second time I say migrate, it was not very simple. The children are different ages. My elder daughter was already 16 and she was almost going to finish her qualification. And why should I transfer her all the way to that side of the world? So I took my second daughter. She was compatible. She was young. I could cheat her. She was 9. We took the flight together. Within 1.5 months, I realized she's a brown-looking Irish woman. She is not able to understand the language, but she was identified as one of the Indian people within Malaysia. Malaysia is diverse. I don't know how many people know about Malaysia. That has its own diversity. We have Indian origin, Chinese origin, and Malay origin. Already diverse. So looking like Indian, she was appreciated. Oh, she will be able to accommodate. The language was spoken to her. She couldn't understand. Within a month, she bounced back. The reality is I needed to keep my career going. This is a journey. Yeah? I'm not teaching anything. I'm not here. It's just a sharing. So again, coming back, living there far away, remote family, for 3.5 years. COVID was a blessing. I know it sounds awful. It took the 2 lives of my in-laws as well during that time. And we had to remotely manage the international, all the things with my in-laws. But with COVID, I was successful to connect through online and all these things with my work. And I was traveling back and forth. I was the most traveled person to that part of the world. Trust me, I did. Between Malaysia and UK, and it was feasible. So one country locks down, and then I stay longer, and then I go and lock down there. That's a different story. It takes forever to come back. But anyway, so that's the journey, and I'm doing different parts here. I would like to give you some flavor into that. Formula One race. It's supposed to be a motorsports for men, yeah. And normally women are there to advertise. Seriously, if you go into the Formula One racing, women are there actually posing for, different, just besides the car, and they are just models there. But I was one of the fortunate person who also got into the Formula One and name printed on the world's fastest car. I'm not so sure if you're able to see that. And I find this really cool, not because it's really, really cool, just because it is driven by Lewis Hamilton, 7 times championship, 8 times, world championship, world's fastest car. Now, how did I get there? Also by doing some research, which went into the fluids, and it went on the track, and it went into, formula. What I'm trying to tell you is to get into this kind of, male-dominated thing, and it is not for women. How are you actually going to see yourself out? But PETRONAS had a nice, still has the policy of having, to promote women at various levels. So I was working along with the CEO of the 2 CEOs. They were also, females. And there is an article for you to read if you want to Google there, where we speak our mind off in terms of one of the aspects, which is the gender equality. Then did some, these just about different technologies. What I'm trying to give you the flavor is, it's throughout this journey, there is diversity. You have to work with all type of, people, all type of chemistries, and also you manage the family. I'm not the only one, it's just the story, and I'm just trying to relate to you. This is the chanting that you hear from the place where I am from, yeah. And then it's not that easy to give away all these things and suddenly start listening to the central cathedrals. But my daughter performed so many orchestras in there. She sang in the choir. It's blessed. Music is music. We need to try and embrace. It's a lot to digest, I know, but I won't keep you long. So that's Bharatanatyam, which is the traditional dance of South India. Not very different if you enjoy it as a music from the Irish dance. And not to forget, that's the chanting. It's going to be played in 2 days, and that's what I've heard all throughout my 3 years of stay in Malaysia. Yeah? But it's always not that simple. Okay, I'm not going to take you all these, but I just want to show you the varieties of food. I am a vegetarian. Malaysia is not for vegetarians. Somehow the food is brilliant and seafood, but not one hotel you will get, not in the hotels that you get straight away the vegetarian food. You have to go to specific hotels in Malaysia. But the same was here in Belfast. But brilliant is now that you can have vegetarian choices. We had a brilliant vegan, meal yesterday and so on. But yeah, now there are challenges. Yeah, this is just my personal journey. I am not here to teach or coach or anything. It's just a sharing. So working within research under the research institute setup, academic setup, and an industrial setup, they all have different needs. What my current role is to work with University of Strathclyde, University of Imperial College London, Manchester University, Queen's University Belfast, and I don't know, whichever I missed, Heriot-Watt University at the interface, yeah, at the interface. So understanding the KPI from all these, different organizations and the people there and at all different levels is something which I find it very challenging to, drive to each other. And every element of this whole slides, I want you to visualize how actually a compound way of, this Ignite process has taken through the journey. Now, organizational culture, we can't change much, you know. Should I shoot myself that I was not actually capable to become an academic, so I didn't become an academic after all? Or should I consider myself fortunate that it led to see the breadth of chemistry across, you know, from lab scale level to the technology level, driving motorsports? So is it my fate? Or is it one of the elements that we are talking about, which restricted me to go into academia, but led me through another journey? I don't know. I don't have an answer to these things, but I'm just sharing. So family's adaptability has always been a constraint, which I think we have all the same, you know, not only the immigrants, and working relationships. So I made friends, let's say, in the universities, and suddenly they become my collaborators or clients, and becomes a different relationship. So living the roots from where we are and coming to a different place, building friendships outside work has been always a challenge. Policies, as I say, there is no written rule to say knowledge transfer has to happen only when from one university to other, you know, when you go and give the interview, but it still applies in the room. It is true. So things like that, there is no visibility. If I'm the head of the department, if I'm going to hire a woman who has just come back from, you know, maternity leave, and I know that has been brilliant publications just before maternity, Nature publications, and then I have a man with 8 publications during that 6 months, am I going to discriminate and say, oh, I have to give opportunity to this lady because I have to take a woman and champion it for my SWAN purposes, and I ignore this person who has been working hard for giving 10, you know, where is the rule? What is the set of rule which dictates me to choose between these two? So policies, needless to say about unconscious bias, always, every single airport, madam, can I have a random check? Random, very random. There is an unconscious. There is an unconscious bias, and there is a natural gender domination, as we all know. So I'm just sharing that journey with you all. There is nothing much I want to, you know, share, except to say that the only thing I could do is to just, you know, steer and navigate myself through the winds and whatever is coming through. But will I advise this to my kids and follow this way? No. That is where the change needs to happen. 10 years ago, the L'Oreal UNESCO Women in Science thing that they gave me was brilliant visibility, stand out, and that gave the biggest, you know, jump in my career. So I think what we are doing here, I'm very, very passionate. I'm not a formal champion, by the way, but I just do my journey, like what Chris said, as a part of our, you know, processes. So happy to be there, and thank you very much. And these are my, you know, a few faces, as you can see, variety of faces. I worked with all of these people. The first one who gave me the break was Ken. And then I'm working currently with this big team in QUB, and we have, you know, all this Malaysian team. Just, I wanted to share the variety in here. This is the last slide. It's a corporate slide. I don't like using corporate slide for this particular talk. Still, I used this just because I like this statement, what we finished in all our presentation. Thank you for your question.